Welcome to the Rural Futures Institute at the University of Nebraska. I'm Chuck Schroeder, Executive Director of the Institute, and this is our weekly conversation with difference makers in rural Nebraska and rural America that we call Catch Up with Chuck. So, with me today is a rural entrepreneur with a very unique focus. Jeanne Wiemer is the owner and director of Red Path Gallery and Tasting Room in Seward, Nebraska. Welcome, Jeanne. We're glad to have you here.
Welcome, Chuck.
I've looked forward to this little chat.
Yes, well, thank you for having me here today to talk about Seward and Red Path Gallery and Tasting Room.
Well, you're here really for a very specific reason. We, followers of this broadcast, will remember a few weeks ago we did an interview with a professor of practice at the College of Architecture here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, Stacy Spale, and one of her students, Kenzie Klein from COZAD, and they had been part of a very interesting class project this semester. Stacy had challenged her design students to investigate the creative class and discover what relationships and opportunities there might be in their relationship with rural Nebraska.
Okay.
How do we attract the creative class to rural communities? So she had 26 students, if I remember correctly,
Wow.
that developed a host of ideas for using unutilized or underutilized buildings in rural communities to create a very attractive intersection between fine culinary, even dramatic arts, to create a welcoming culture for artists, musicians, thespians, artisans who might prefer a rural community environment. Well, I have to tell you, it was fantastic. We at the Rural Futures Institute had the opportunity to engage with these kids, and we loved their projects, but the question remained, how do you really make that happen in a community?
Okay.
So, Jeanne, who I've known for some time now, is an artist and a writer in her own right, and she took up that challenge of attracting the creative class in one of our poster child communities in rural Nebraska, Seward. So, Jeanne, I want you to take us back to the big idea for Red Path Gallery and tell us what the heck you were thinking about.
What was I thinking? It takes a lot of passion. It takes an idea that has probably been with you from way back. I mean, I've always been very creative. You meet people along the way, and then things start happening when you set that dream and goal out there. And I'm from Seward, native to Seward County, and so my parents knew the people who owned the building before we purchased it, so there was a link there. So all of those things fit into this puzzle of life, and if you set your goals, magic happens.
Well, you've really made magic happen there, and so there you are on the historic town square in Seward.
Right.
When you drive there today, you would think Red Path had been there forever because it just fits. It just
does.
fits. Here's
It
this
does.
beautiful, beautiful rural setting.
Right.
Here's this really terrific gallery that you've developed. But listen, I've lived long enough to know that businesses that are successful and organizations, even communities, don't just emerge from the mist.
Right.
So they really begin in the lives of the people who create them, and you've touched on that just a little bit. I want you to talk a little bit more about your upbringing, kind of who you are, where and how you were raised, because you were raised in a creative environment.
Yes, I guess I was raised in a creative environment, and that could be in rural Nebraska. So that, to me, when we talk about how I was raised, I guess I go right back to where I grew up on an acreage, which, could be considered a farm. When I grew up, 80 acres, and we had cows and chickens, and, I went out there and watched the cows and chickens and had visions of things that in my own head. And so I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that, but I was always dreaming and visualizing. And we had a flat top roof on our garage, and I'd go lay up there and look at the stars and where the heck did I come from? So Is that answering your question in a
Well,
way?
I know that you had art in your home. There
Yes.
was you
Yes,
had
yes.
that kind of activity going
Right.
on. So the idea of an artist being a
Yes.
serious
Serious thing. And yeah, my parents took us to different art events, which Seward has the oldest arts council in the state of Nebraska. And Reinhold Marxhausen was kind of a instigator in having that all created with some other very key people in the Seward community. And I knew that from a very young age, and we were, some of these art events were out in the country. They were very rural, and how to look at art in a different way and life in a different way, and it was promoted that way. So to me, the artist's life was looking at life in this unique way where I had the opportunity to visualize and the time to do that as a child. You know, it was, you know, I could go sit on the swing or look at the stars in rural Nebraska. And to me, that was real, but yet it was this majestic thing that happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so the artists in your community were respected
Yes.
members of the community.
Yes.
The idea of engaging seriously in art was not frivolous.
Right.
It was considered part of you becoming a human being.
Right. In my mindset, that's how I felt about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think we lose some of that today, and
I think so.
that's part of why you and I are getting connected.
That's right.
It's kind of
That's
fun.
right.
So listen, I want to talk just a little bit more about Red Path Gallery and Tasting Room.
Okay.
You're a visual artist, a literary artist, but Red Path has grown to accommodate a broad variety of artists, including musicians and others.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what all goes on at Red Path today.
Well, when we first started, it was a art gallery. That's what I wanted to make sure that it was, to include all Nebraska artists. And so that's where we started, along with wine tasting, because I was very involved with tourism and I knew how to bring people into the building. And it just happened that my artwork is on the wine label. So that's kind of a neat thing. But then people came in, and artists want to be around other artists, and they're drawn in, and then musicians are drawn in, and so now we have music in the building, and we have art, and it's all Nebraska people that are very talented, and young people that can take off and make this world a great place, and people can enjoy the artwork along with the wine, and it's a super place, and it enhances the historic downtown in Seward, and so it's a great location too.
Okay, you have one really unique story going on there right now. The young woman who came to Concordia, terrific musician.
Yes.
You and your husband created an opportunity for her to remain in the community and offering, anyway, you tell the story. I think it's beautiful.
Julia Marble with Marble Music came to us through JD's Coffee Shop, actually, down the street, kind of working together in a collaborative effort in Seward, and said, hey, if you're doing music, talk to Jeanne at Red Path. And so we created a studio, and she at that time was teaching Suzuki violin method in our downstairs when we weren't open, and then it grew that we built up the upstairs 2 studios for her. There's violin, voice, guitar, piano, cello, all of this that we include in the building during the hours that we aren't open to the public, but open for lessons. And my husband and I worked with her on her business plan. And to say that this all magically happened might, it doesn't magically happen, but people come in. It is work. And we had a 40-page business plan for Red Path Gallery and Tasting Room. And we worked with Julia to have a business plan, because sometimes those things are overlooked. In college we get our basics, and we get a good idea where we want to go. But then my husband's been in business many years, and I have, and so we wanted to work with the younger generation to make sure that they, come and go on with what these legacies that have started. So,
I just think that's so powerful. I mean, here we, for people that are watching, and we've had a growing audience, which we love, people who are, many of whom live in rural, but many of whom are curious about rural.
Right.
For people who think living in a rural community means that you are now a distant reach to the arts and to arts education opportunities. Here is a rural community, roughly 8,000 residents, and the opportunity to, number one, a fine art gallery that is first class. I mean, this is not,
Thank you.
there are a lot of galleries that, anyway, it's first class.
Right.
Here is an opportunity, music learning opportunities that you'd have trouble finding in Omaha in some cases.
Right. And then we have the auditorium at the Civic Center where they do their concerts, and she's with the honor choir in Seward, so we have a lot going on in that area, all, you know, kind of under this Seward Arts Council umbrella, the honor choir, and then Marble Music, a private entity under Red Path Gallery, and collaborating with, and so, yeah, and the awning says both our names, and we are just on the go.
I love it. Well, listen, Jeannie, it's no secret that Seward is really a special community. It has, just as you've told your story, we know that it's a community that's benefited from very capable leadership, from bold visions for the future. We talk a lot at the Rural Futures Institute about the power of a bold vision backed by grit.
Yes.
And it takes all of that. It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
No.
But also, as you've demonstrated, one of the keys is people being willing to invest in the community.
Right.
And to say, okay, if the cavalry ain't a-coming, if we want this, and we want to survive and thrive, we're going to be investing in it. So you've done that. So listen, I want you to, Seward has always been forward-looking. I know you are. Talk a little bit about what you see as the future of Seward.
Okay. Well, I was on the vision committee for Seward that we created Pillars of Strength for Seward. In that, I made sure that arts and culture is part of that. So we have a pillar of strength that's arts and culture, and we have a vision for 2035, and so, you know, we are very progressive in that sense, that we know that we want to continue to make Seward a great place, enhance that, have the younger generation moving forward, and so I think all of those things are important, and people are taking notice. I think they are.
Yeah, I hear about it around the state. So, well, listen, here at the Rural Futures Institute, we're proud to have 2 of our rural serviceship students in Seward this summer. One from Waverly, one from India. And they are going to be doing some, I know, interesting projects there. And Jonathan Jank, your economic development director, has been a dear friend of the Rural Futures Institute and one of the great young professionals in Nebraska. So he's kind of their key mentor for the summer, which has been great fun. So anyway, I know that those students are going to make their way to Red Path Gallery this summer.
And I had an opportunity actually to meet them at the board meeting on Monday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, so they were both
They're already rocking and rolling.
Yes, they are.
News. Good news.
They were moving in.
Well, we're going to be doing a little project together there this summer, and so I'm going to be hanging around Red Path.
Yes, you are.
And
you need to tell that story.
Well, we're going to have an exhibit called Elders Character Over Time.
Yes.
And we think it'll be fun.
Yes.
So anyway, anything you'd like to add this morning to the story?
Well, I just would like to say thank you for having me here today. That's an awesome experience to come here and get a chat with you about the rural future of Nebraska. And people just need to take that passion and follow it. It does. All of the people in Nebraska are hardworking. We are real people. All the artists in the gallery are real people, but we have this majestic side that we promote with the arts that just shines through. And so just remember that passion will take you where you need to go, but hard work in Nebraska is what we do too. So with both those things, we make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, Jeannie, it's been a delight to have you on the show this morning. And folks, I just invite you to come back next week when we're going to be meeting with more real people in real places, demonstrating that thriving rural communities are a worthwhile choice for really healthy and great, productive, majestic living.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.